This is the Dreyer Drive podcast, a podcast all about siblings and the people, places, and pop culture that raised us. I'm one of the hosts, Ryan. My younger sister, Jacqueline, will jump on here in just a second. But first, in this episode, we will hear a little bit about Jacqueline's new personality, trail running Jacqueline. She'll share all about how she's started a new hobby and then quickly had to stop that new hobby. We'll also do some fact checking about the worst birthday party of all time that we talked about in last episode. We had a chance to talk to our younger brother and get the facts straight. And then finally, we'll spend the bulk of this episode talking about the part-time jobs that raised us. We'll dive into the tiered list of part-time jobs that we've created and rank different teenage part-time jobs. And then we'll wrap up this episode the same way we wrap up every single episode on the Dreyer Drive podcast with an unhinged text message from a family member. And this week, it's not really that unhinged, but we included it anyway. Let's go. I listen to a wide variety of podcasts, mostly consisting of our own. Side note, I saw this, I'll come back to the story I'm trying to tell, but I saw this tweet or update somewhere from Gary Vaynerchuk. And if you're unfamiliar with Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a social media, he's a social media guy, right? I'm not going to give the whole story. He's a social media guy. And he always talks about patience. And he was like, Gary, I only have 12 people listening to my podcast or something like that. I can't remember the exact caption. But
I can relate.
I only have 12 people. And he was like, what an audience of 12 people actually looks like. And he showed like a conference room with like 12 people around the table. And he's trying to prove that 12 people is actually a lot of people. Like you talking to 12 people, you'd be like, duh, what do I do with my hands? Like this is a very weird thing for me to be doing. And so I was like, yeah, that's true. Like a podcast that's reaching 12 people, that's a lot of people. But then I asked the question, what if all 12 of those people are you? And you're the only person listening to your podcast. I'm going to get a version of that. I'm going to Photoshop just me and you. We're at the front of the room. We are also the audience.
I'd say that's our ideal audience, really.
So back to what I was going to say. I listened to a bunch of different podcasts. I was listening to this one podcast around mental health, and he was talking about like the brain's chemistry actually is like fires when you fake smile even. Like you even like just a fake smile can kind of shift your thinking a little bit. I don't know how much I buy into it. So I decided to try it, right? So I'm driving, listening to this podcast, and I did the exact same thing. I'm like, and I looked up at the mirror. I felt like I was like the biggest smile that has ever been given. And I look up, it's just a straight line across my face. But my brain is like, look at you being so happy. Look at you. It's just a straight line.
Brightening people's days as you go by.
Let me just check out this smile that's bringing me all this joy. I looked up and literally, I looked like one of those Muppets where it just breaks apart at the mouth.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep my tiny teeth in my tiny mouth so I keep my mouth shut. That's the plan. I want to hear about your vacation, but before we do, just thinking about when I said we're jack of all trades, master of none, we both have the same brain disease that's called the how hard could it be brain disease, where we see someone doing something and then it's not that hard. Anybody could do that. And so about 2
why
months
would
ago,
I ever pay anybody to do it? And I will do it myself.
And also I'll do it really well, like because I'm good at stuff.
Better than them.
So 2 months ago, I decided to take up running. I have never run in my entire life. I slow jogged when I was in high school, and that was the extent of it ever since then.
And it was one time to get away from a dog.
It was one time, our dog. And so I hike a lot around here. You know, we live in the mountains, but I was like, you know what?
Define hike. Just define hiking. Define hiking for our audience. Your hiking. I think everybody knows what hiking is, but I want to make sure
a hike here would be like 1,000-foot elevation gain. I live at 6,000 feet. If I get to about 1,000-foot elevation gain, I will consider that. It's about, an hour and a half kind of hike through a trail or whatever. So, which is awesome. It's great. But I decided, let's just really kick this up a notch and go running. And I live near a canyon. So I started I'd walk up to the top of the canyon, run down. So I was doing trail running. And did I ease into it like a normal person would? I did not. I did not. I went from 0 to like, this is my calling in life. I am a runner. I am a track star over the course of 1 month. So I went from never running any at all and to bang. I would do like a 5-mile run at a 9-minute mile pace, which is pretty good for like never ever running before. But again, I'm running on a trail. And while I was running one time, I tweaked my ankle a little bit, but like no big deal. It happens a lot when you're trail running because you're running on an unstable surface. And over like a week, it still like felt like a little weird. And of course I did what any millennial does, which is I consult Dr. Google. And Dr. Google was like, no big deal. It's just a little muscle strain here, like some exercises you can do. And I was like, awesome. I'll just do these exercises because I'm also a physical therapist. So I thought all the things that I needed to do my physical therapy with. And over the course of the week, it was not getting better. In fact, every time I ran, it was getting much, much worse, like so much worse. And I would just come home after my runs and I'd like throw a tennis ball under that ankle and crank it as hard as I could because I felt like I just needed to stretch it out, the muscle and whatever. Until one day I was running and I had my dog with me and I got up the canyon. And as I was coming down, I realized that I could no longer walk. And I had to call Justin and be like, you need to come pick me up. I can't walk. Like, I'm just standing by the side of the road. So I go immediately to my ankle doctor. Everybody should have an ankle doctor.
Very weird. Very weird
I have an ankle doctor.
sentence.
And he's like, what did you do to this? And I was like, oh, I explained, like, I was running and it's just kind of sore. So I've been stretching it. He was like, oh, like, when you first hurt it, you tore a tendon, and every day you've been trying to stretch it. You've just been tearing it more and more apart.
Making it exponentially worse with every movement.
So much worse. It's like literally it was my ankle was like the size of a cantaloupe by the time he saw me. And he was like, what have you done? So in the last month, I've been in a walking boot. And if you want to know something really uncomfortable, living in the desert in 100-degree Fahrenheit weather, wearing a walking boot everywhere you go, I am so miserable. And I just need this to be a lesson to me. Like, remind me of this when I decide, like, I'm going to take up a new hobby without research, without doing any due diligence whatsoever, and thinking that I will be good at it. Remind me of this moment where I am stuffed into a walking boot because I ripped my own tendon to shreds.
How much money did you spend on the gear to make yourself look like a trail runner? Going into it, because I believe that would have been the first stop. The first stop would have been a sports store and been like, what are your most expensive? I think, are they called Hokas? Can I get a pair of your Hoka trail running? How about some trail running socks? Do I get one of those bladder things? The camel packs?
I am furious that you know me that well. I am furious. I'm furious that you know, like, I love nothing more than a hobby that also comes with like gear.
Did you buy energy gels? Outfit. Did you buy energy gels that you tuck into like the easy rip out pocket on the belt?
But I got the shoes, I got the inserts, I had the running pack, like a running pack to keep all my stuff in it.
Sure.
Yeah, I was running outfits.
A running hat with the little cape, the little hat cape. No.
And now it's all sat dormant because I can't use it. And also I can only wear one shoe at a time because I'm my other one's in this ginormous boot. And so when you go to like my front door, there's just like 7 single shoes lined up. So that was my last few weeks. And I know that you got to go on vacation and you had a better few weeks than I did.
Do you know that?
I do know that. I do know that.
One thing I think I would love for everybody, all of our listeners, all 4 of them, I would love for each one of them
12,
at one
12,
point, 12, yeah, sorry, the 12 disciples, I like to call them. I would love for everyone to experience just once is to come on vacation with me, just to experience the bliss of everything going horribly wrong. I just want everyone to experience it. We talked about it. Like, if you go back to the Christmas episode where I talked a little bit about our trip back to Canada from Okinawa, where we found out that Seiko couldn't fly on the same airplane as us. And I carried our however 6-month-old baby at the time and our 5-year-old at the time flew with just the 3 of us to Canada from Okinawa while Seiko went
Yes,
on a
it's when you
completely different
won Father of the Year award.
Yeah. Right.
There.
We were I was cheered. It was like red carpet. It was like I was Putin. I was Putin visiting Alaska. It was very similar.
You know what's interesting to me about that is that Putin is so close to Poutine.
Yeah,
and,
which
you know,
way? How do I?
It's one of those words that I'm always surprised that we're going Putin when I really just want to talk about poutine.
Poutine. But anyways, back to the trip. We calmly got ready the morning of our trip back up to Tokyo and Chiba. Now, for everyone's reference, it's a 2.5 hour flight. Anyways.
Yeah, should be pretty low key.
Yeah, low key. So and by calm, I mean, you know the scene in Home Alone where they wake up and they realize that they've slept through their alarm? That's us preparing to go anywhere, shopping, 5 minutes away. That's how we leave the house every single time. It's just a little charming point that we have at this house. So we're in a tornado trying to get out the door the morning of, and we're not actually trying to get out to make the flight on time. We're trying to get out to get a parking space because the parking fills up really quickly at the airport here. So we get in the car, we get there, we find a spot. We're like, yes, we're so early. We go, we look for some souvenirs that we're going to bring with us. And then we go to check in and they're like, your flight's canceled. And we're like, excuse me? They're like, yeah, your flight's canceled. I'm like, cool. You want to put us on the next one? They're like, there's no next one. I'm like, what do you mean? Like forever? They're like, there are no flights today and there are no flights tomorrow. And you might be able to get on a flight 2 days from now. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, first of all, how are you so calm about this? Like, you don't know about how emotional I'm about to get. If I were you, I'd be much more scared about what's about to happen. And anyway, so like straight up, she's just like, no, like there's nothing I can do. And I'm like, thanks for nothing. She's like, just call the hotline and like rebook through them. I'm like, but you have a computer right here and you can rebook me. And she's like, I can, but they'll be able to do it quicker and might be able to find some seats that are available that I can't find, whatever. I'm like, okay, so we leave. We try to find a flight that day. It's like triple the cost. And I'm like, let's go back and try to figure out if there's another flight. Go back, talk to another guy. He's like, yes, there's another flight, but it's tomorrow night. So it like messes our whole trip up by 36 hours, which means that our first night hotel is also canceled, which I booked using Aeroplan points, which the Aeroplan office is only open from 9 to 5 Eastern time, which slots it from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. my time. So like I can't call. I've got mom trying to call them and she can't get through. And so I don't know what's happened to those points. I think they're gone forever. The whole point of us going down was to go to a fireworks festival, which we missed now because we didn't arrive at the hotel until 2 a.m. the following, I guess, 2 mornings from them. Anyways, it was wild. That whole part, missing the flight, canceling a hotel, missing the first. We booked a pretty expensive hotel for our second 2 nights there, like a second and third night there, because we were going to visit Seiko's grandmother, who's 94 years old. We were doing the fireworks festival. We were bringing Seiko's mom with us. We made sure we included the breakfast and the dinner from their restaurant there. And it's like we spent a little bit of money on the hotel. We checked in at 2 a.m. and we missed the first night of dinner. We went to the breakfast with like 3 hours of sleep by the time we actually all got into bed.
We're going to get this breakfast.
I'm eating everything. Like I'm eating all of the things. I made sure that Noah had ice cream with her breakfast because like we've paid for this. And so same thing for dinner and the following morning. But after that, I guess it was all right? Like it was a lot of driving. Noah got to go to the Hello Kitty world, which she really liked. Yeah, which she really liked. Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun going up there. The crazy thing is, I guess if you look at the geography of Japan, this is a very boring story about my trip to Chiba in Japan. But the crazy thing is if you look on a map, we are subtropical. We are pretty far south. Tokyo is obviously a little bit more north than us. It's so much hotter up there than it is here.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a little fact for you guys. You want to stay cool in the summer in Japan? Okinawa.
I don't want to ruin a unhinged text or anything, but I did think this one was funny. You messaged the night that this all happened. You messaged our sibling group, and it said, "Do you guys want to play a game?" And I said, "Sure, Jigsaw, why not?" And you said, "It's called Guess What Flight We're On." And it's just the picture of a departures board, and every other flight is on time, but one says canceled. It's yours.
Yeah, surely that can't be us, right, Seiko? That's us.
You're like, oh, the poor schmucks who are going to be on that flight. Sucks through the. Oh no, it's us.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. It was a fun little trip up and down, and now my vacation's over.
One day, I think it's going to happen for you. One day, you're going to get on a plane without drama, and I want that for you, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, Ryan. You're living your life right. It's going to happen for you.
Well, here's the thing. I used to travel a lot for work. I used to take, upwards of, on a really busy year, like 40 trips a year. We're talking over 100 boarding passes. I don't think I ever missed a single flight. Not one of them was canceled. Not once through my traveling and speaking career. But the second the stakes are a little bit higher, there's a little bit more money on the table, and I'm now traveling with children. It's like, we're going to just screw every time you try to travel, we're going to screw it up for you.
That's the irony is like when you were a single guy and a plane was canceled, you'd be like, all right, I guess I'm just here for another day. Like, let's go to dinner. I
gave up my seats. They're like, we're looking for someone to give up. I'm like, wait.
Like, I'll
spend another night in Bismarck, North Dakota. Give me another night here.
I haven't seen all I really want to see here.
So yeah,
I know there's a TGI Fridays around here somewhere.
I haven't seen the Applebee's yet.
Oh, Applebee's. I have not eaten at an Applebee's probably since I lived in Canada. Okay, I have a question for you.
Hit me.
If we want to get into that. Okay, I'm curious to know, when we were kids, what was your most enjoyed chore and what was your least favorite chore? Like, which were you, like, sometimes mom would get into these, like, modes where she was like, we're going to have a jar, and the jar is filled with popsicle sticks. Now, the popsicle stick is a chore, and you're going to pull one out of the chore jar and do that chore. Like, which one were you like, yes, if you got it, and which one were you like, no?
So the no one is a clear, like, it's going to be your answer as well, except I don't think you ever had to do this, to be honest.
I'm almost positive I didn't have to do it because I know what you're going to say.
We talked about this, I think, in the pet episode. It's related to pets. It is picking up the dog dirt. And me and Dan had to do that. And it was go outside and pick up the turds that are the giant German Shepherd size turds all through our backyard, and like put it into a plastic bag that's in a bucket and then tie it up and put it in a garbage bag. For a while
we had the German Shepherd and the Boxer Rottweiler.
Yeah, and then the Boxer Rottweiler. Yeah, it was brutal. I hated that. Like, summertime, I used to try to get friends to come over and help. And no joke, one time I had a friend that came over and threw up when he was watching us do it. He was like,
why were kids just nonstop barfing around our house?
And then we looked over. Dan was making fun of him. He's literally puking on our, like, funny, we talked about this last episode too, on like the paver stones. He was like trying to run away from the backyard and stopped on the paver stones to throw up. I'm like, great, now we got to clean that up too, Robbie.
So this is going to be my fault. No, even though, like, I would say our mom is a feminist. She raised us all to be feminists. There was one thing that, like, I did not have to do ever, and it was outside chores. And
picking up the dog dirt.
As a feminist, I agree with that. I shouldn't have to do that.
Just balancing the scales in any way we can.
Speaking of people barfing at our house, I did talk to Jonathan earlier this week and verify some of the just some of the finer points of his birthday party that he wanted to go back and miss. And probably one of the most important parts of it was that Taylor, our Boxer Rottweiler, ate, he couldn't remember if it was cake or pizza, but she threw it up afterwards. And when
during
she
the
threw
party,
it up,
during the worst birthday party of all time.
And he said for some reason, Dad didn't have like the right things to clean up all of this dog barf. So he needed to run to the store to pick up stuff to clean it up with. So he just like piled things on top of it so no one would step on it. But it was like a dustpan and a pizza box. And so Jonathan was like, it looked like we had built like a little shrine to Taylor's barf. Like, yes, and here in the corner, you'll see our dog's vomit. So that happened. And then I was under the impression when you were telling me this story, I was like, oh, how old? He must have been like 6 or 7. He said, no, it was my 12th birthday party. I was going into 6th grade. And he said, we did the thing which we often did at parties in our house where mom would put donuts on a string and have a contest to see who could eat the donut off the string. And that's when one of the kids said, this is the worst birthday party I've ever been to. Can we go home? And also, the movie they rented from Video 99 was the black and white version of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. And nobody wanted to watch it because, again, they were 12. And then Jonathan was like, I remember down in the basement in the third our basement was kind of in sections. And the third section had like an old weight set in it, like the old weight bench. He said for most of the party after that, they just like hung out on the weight bench and like watched each other lift weights until everybody went home.
Now, do you see, this is why I want to go back and watch this whole thing unfold. I want to see the dog eat the birthday cake or the pizza, whatever it is, throw up, dad panic, throw stuff on top, run out the door, everyone then stare at the thing that dad has done. Then mom's like, all right, it's time for games. And they're like 12-year-old boys. They're like, now we're all going to see who can eat the donut from the string the fastest. So like, didn't we do this when we were 6? Come on, go. And some kid is like, this is the worst birthday. Can I go home? I want to imagine, I don't know if this is an actual detail. I want to imagine that Jonathan is wearing a Halloween costume while all of this is happening. And he's the only one. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that.
He said it was Halloween. He was like, I don't know why it was themed Halloween. Jonathan does not enjoy Halloween. He's not a whimsical person who would like any of that. He also said that one of his friends, who was a girl, he made him invite a boy from their class that he normally wouldn't have invited because she wanted to see him. And he was the boy who was like, this party sucks. I want to go home. And then she was like, thanks a lot, Jonathan.
You ruined my chance. So now you can see why I want to go back in time and just watch this. Like, it's just...
Do you remember Jonathan also had a cassette tape? He's the only one who had it. That was a happy birthday song just for Jonathan. And
hey,
then, hey, Jonathan.
Yeah. So if you're asking if I remember it.
I hope that was just on repeat in the background the whole time.
Hey, Jonathan, it's your birthday.
It's your birthday.
Yes.
And I was like, why is Jonathan the only one who gets a personalized birthday tape?
And there's just half-eaten donuts on strings just kind of moving as kids are walking back and forth to the telephone to call their parents to come pick them up early, and then walking back down to the weight set. And Jonathan's just sitting there dressed as an astronaut.
Like Jonathan, who doesn't like Halloween or donuts or weightlifting
or people for that matter. Parties?
Birthday parties. It's like, this is not for me, guys.
No. This is why I say Netflix. If you are not listening to this podcast, you're missing out on so much gold here.
We are setting you up for success.
We're spoon feeding you your next hit series.
Okay. So
worst chore, picking up dog dirt.
What's the best chore?
In summary. And then the best chore, I don't know if it'd be like considered a chore, but I think that like one, anything to help dad, anything that was involved helping dad build stuff. Like I was really into like that kind of stuff. And if not that, like I actually liked cleaning the garage to a certain extent for a couple of reasons. One, there is always, we've talked about this, like the most random things in the garage that you could find and distract you or put it somewhere that you might be able to use it or whatever, get into a little bit of trouble. But the other reason I loved cleaning out the garage is because dad had stacks and stacks, boxes, banana boxes. Do you remember they were banana boxes?
Banana boxes, yep.
Filled with like old trucking magazines and Van World from like the 1970s.
I made many a collage with those magazines.
Yeah, and old chopper magazines and stuff. So I'm like still into vehicles. So I would go in there and be like, I'm cleaning the garage, but really I'm just like going through every van and truck magazine from the 1970s, just being amazed by the cool stuff that people are doing. And so I think cleaning the garage was a pretty good one, high up on the list for me in terms of things that I like to do. And as a chore, and then cleaning up the dog dirt was easily the worst thing, especially in those summer months. And the flies.
It's been out there for a while.
A while.
It's been out there for a while.
How about you?
My least favorite was anything cooking related. Like, I think that's probably to this day, I do not enjoy cooking. And I did have to cook a fair amount. As soon as I was like 13, 14, it was like, okay, like we're putting you on the stove there, Jacqueline, like you're in charge. And a couple of things about that is like, I don't like cooking. Also, I don't know how to cook for hungry boys, because that's who would be eating it. So Justin's always like, Jacqueline, you don't need to make this much food. He always jokes, because I also never bake. I hate to bake. But like maybe once a year I'll get into my head that I'm going to bake. And Justin's like, you always bake like 6 dozen cookies. And then if I can't eat the 6 dozen cookies, you're like, this is why I don't bake. Nobody even eats the stuff that I bake. And he's like, I can't eat 72 cookies, Jacqueline.
And they're all tied to strings. I can't even eat them that fast.
So I never enjoyed cooking, and to this day it's not something I really like to do. If I don't turn on my oven for a whole week, it's been a good week for me. What I love to do though was when Mom would put me in charge of organizing the cassette tapes in the buffet table.
Okay.
So we've talked about our buffet table before. It's like, I originally meant to hold like stuff for serving dinners. It was a large piece of furniture, fine china, none of which we had. But we used the top drawer for our cassette tapes. And I love to be put in charge of like, I'm going to alphabetize those tapes. I'm going to do it by singer. I'm going to do it by genre. I'm going to do, these are my tapes and these are Ryan's tapes. These are country tapes. And so like, and that's things I love to do now. I love organizing things. So I think that really just carried through with me as an adult. I would like put me in front of a buffet table right now. Give me 10 minutes with cassette tapes in front of a buffet table. I will have you ship-shape.
And my favorite thing about that is that when you open them up, none of the cassette tapes match the cases.
No.
So great, you organize the cases, but like, why? What is this in excess cassette tape doing in this glass tiger case?
You know what's wild to me right now is we grew up with cassette tapes and videotapes and every manner of tape, right? And then we get our phones that now function for all of those things. Now my kids are like, can you buy me a cassette tape player? Mom, I need a camcorder. And I'm like, you guys, you realize your phone does all these things. They're like, that's lame. Why would I want that? And I'm like, this is blowing my mind. I went to Addie, my daughter has a camcorder, which broke. And she was like, I need a new camcorder, and she is out of town right now. So I needed to go pick one up so I could send it to her. And I go to Target, which is a normal store where they sell normal things, that has an electronics department and people who only work in the electronics department.
Specialize.
I would assume they know what they're doing. And I'm pushing my cart around, and I also don't like asking for help, so I'll just wander around looking really lost until someone asks me, do you need help? Which is what happened. A girl comes up to me, she maybe 19 years old, and is like, hey, can I help you find something? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for a camcorder. And she's like, okay. And what's it called? And I was like, a camcorder. And she was like, okay, cool. She like brings up her store phone that she has, and she's like, so... And then she's like, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what that is. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so then I'm like, it's like a camera, but for video. And she's like, oh, like a camera. And I'm like, yeah, a camera. So then I see her like typing into her phone, her store phone, and she like holds it up and she's like these, and they're just pictures of cameras. Like, and I'm like,
like mirrorless or
yeah, just like regular cameras, like a Canon Rebel. And I'm like, oh no, so that's just like a picture camera? I'm talking about something that would take video as well. And she's like, and I was like, is it okay if I use your phone? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. So she hands me the store phone and I type in camcorder, which is the word that I use to start with. Immediately, the one that I want comes up. And I'm like, oh, it says that it's here. It looks like it's in like aisle E15. It's like right in front of us.
You are now working there.
So,
you are now working
I'm
there.
now working,
I'm
now working at Target. So I'm like, let us go together to see if we can
You're now showing her. Yes.
So we go to that aisle and it has like the glass cases where more expensive stuff is in. And this camcorder is like
baby formula.
$50.
It's really expensive stuff or baby formula.
Sometimes deodorant if you're in inner city. So she's like staring at this glass case and she's like, I don't think we have one. And I'm like, I don't know if it would be in the glass case. Like, it is a simple piece of equipment. Like, it should be $50. And sure enough, like, I looked to the side and there it is. I was like, oh, here it is. And I pick it up. And then I say, thank you for your help. I walk away. Like, what? I just did everything myself. I work at Target now. If anybody has any questions about camcorders in 2025, please send them my way.
Do you still have her phone?
I carried it out. I was like, this is my payment now. I get to keep your phone. Okay, so that was just to get the I don't want to say
flowing?
juices flowing because I actually don't like that. I don't like that.
Just lubricate this episode.
Whet your appetites for our topic today, which I am calling the Dreyer Drive teen job tier list.
Ooh.
And I want to talk about specifically teen jobs, but I want to put them into a comprehensive tier list. So we're going to start from the bottom, like the worst of the worst jobs, the ones that we hated to do, and work our way up to like what would have been the best jobs. And these are specifically jobs that any teenager in Ajax, Ontario would have had, I would say from the years from 1998 to 2002 at the latest. Tight 4 or 5 year gap there. So to get started, and these ones would be on the earlier side, what I'm putting on the C tier, the C is going to be our lowest tier right now. And that's going to be entrepreneurial jobs. And what I mean by that, are jobs that you forced your relatives to pay you for by telling them that you were starting your own business as a teenager.
It says right here on the flyer.
Some of us did this more than others. Ryan, could you share with the group your entrepreneurial beginnings?
Yeah, I would love to, because I was the dependable neighborhood kid. TM. I was the dependable neighborhood kid. TM. That's a trademark, my friends. I remember. I don't know what I was trying to save up for. Maybe a cassette player. And so I was like, I could go around and knock on people's door and be like, hey, do you want me to mow your grass? But instead I was like, maybe I should launch an entire business. Let me do all of the things.
A brand. Yeah, you wanted to brand it.
Let me do all of the things except for the thing that's actually going to make money. Let me start by spending money. Very similar to the way that Jacqueline started hiking. Just dove right in. And I was like, I need to first come. Me and mom like sat at the kitchen table brainstorming names,
made a business plan,
and slogans and pricing tiers and designs for a flyer. And then I think I went to Auntie Gail's house to put the design for the flyer into like whatever computer program she had at the time, and then printed flyers, which I then delivered to her. And she became one of 2 paying customers, the other being mom and dad, who sometimes didn't pay. It just depended if it was deemed a chore or deemed like an income generating activity. I don't know. So
and no consistency. Like sometimes it was a chore and sometimes.
The pricing, like they negotiated the prices that mom and I came up with together. She's like, yeah, I think this is about $25. I'm like, nice. She's like, I got 10. I'm like, what? But go and charge Auntie Gail 25, which I would go in.
Poor Auntie Gail. I cleaned her house every week. Usually around Christmas time when I needed money for Christmas presents, I
to
would
buy presents.
clean her house for $20 a pop. I did nothing but listen to her records on her record player. And sometimes I would wipe down like a shower or two, but I
organize her
did nothing, and she
cassettes.
just organize her cassettes, really important stuff, and then she would just give me a crisp $20 bill at the end of it.
Yeah. I would go there and I would cost her so much money. I would use her stuff. I would she would come out and offer me like drinks, like, hey, would you like an orange juice or a Gatorade? Which I'm sure she went out and bought just for me because she knew
just for you.
I was like, I just costed it'd be a $25 like lawn care package
service.
And then like another $25 in like a mac and cheese sandwich on Wonder Bread or Texas toast, a Gatorade, a couple of granola bars that I'm sure that whatever's left over, I would just take home. I think it would cost like $100 to have me go and cut her grass as the dependable neighborhood kid. But the dependable neighborhood kid, I think, was probably like my second failed business. My first real failed business came, I think probably a few years earlier than my voyage into the dependable neighborhood kid lawn care landscaping services. There was a day where it was like summer holiday and like, it was like, okay, kids, like go and do something. And we had tried lemonade stands. I'm not really going to put them into the category of entrepreneurial ventures, but Dan and I were down at Food City, which is the grocery store, our local grocery store growing up. And we had seen like fish in the fish tank swimming that you could like go in, which I think is still pretty crazy. You would just go in and like order a live fish and then you'd receive it dead. Like I still think that like that we're like, hi, can I have this fish? And they come out like, and here it is. And it's in a slightly different form. There's a restaurant here where you can catch your own fish and then you can tell them how you want it. Like you want it like deep fried or sushi or whatever. And they come back minutes later with that fish that was just flopping around on your fishing line several minutes earlier. And now you're eating it. So anyways, so
I don't like that. I don't need my food to have a personality.
Yeah. So we saw this in Food City and we're like, why should this be limited to grocery stores? Like, why are there not fish stands all over the town? And so on like one hot summer day in like July or August, Dan, myself, and like his buddy and his buddy's little brother, we all went down to Crothers Creek and we fished. And we pulled some fish out of the water and we're like, tomorrow is going to be day number 1 of our fish stand. And we too will sell fish like Food City live. And then somehow you're going to figure out how to kill it and go and cook it.
And then so, something
profit. And so like we went down to the creek, we pulled all these fish out all day. We put them into Food City bags and then put some water in the Food City bags. And we walked back home with Food City bags filled with water and fish. And then got home, filled up like one of those plastic kiddie pools with hose water. And then dumped the fish in there and we're like, all right, tomorrow's the day number 1 of our fish stand. Went inside, had dinner, went to sleep. Dinner was not fish. Woke up, came back outside for our fish stand. All the fish were dead, obviously, because they were sitting in rusty hose water for the last 16 hours. They were all dead. And we were then tasked with bringing those fish back to Crothers Creek to dump into the creek to like, continue that cycle. I personally don't believe we made it. The circle of life.
Oh, got it. The circle of life where dead fish go in the river. Stream.
Yeah. And then people are like, why are all the fish dying? Someone must have dumped chemicals in here.
And then there's there's an article about it in the Ajax
news advertiser. Which we were supposed to deliver that we didn't deliver to people.
See, it was a really small community. Like we kept that economy. The border kids were really keeping that economy running.
The town of Ajax was built on the backs of the Porter family. I'm going to say it right now. Hey, you got we powered the news that went into your newspapers, then delivered the newspapers to you, then did more juvenile delinquent type stuff that then went in the newspaper to go back in the newspapers that we delivered to you sometimes.
Well, you were dumping dead fish in the creek. I was dumping my papers in the creek because I didn't want to deliver them.
The cycle. It's a cycle. It's the circle of life.
That's the circle. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so that was, I think, just a quick little couple of points in my entrepreneurialism. What about your like C tier, or what about like your first, you talked about Auntie Gail's cleaning service.
Auntie Gail's cleaning service.
Okay.
And then as like...
Did you have a name for it?
No, it was just Auntie Gail giving me money. That was the name of it. Auntie Gail gives me money at Christmas. I did, well, we had our paper routes, which I would put in C tier as well. And then I also, for me, babysitting was how I made most of my money.
Yeah.
And there was this family who I babysat for very often. It was a larger family. And I went and babysat for them one night. And they were wild kids. And the funniest thing about babysitting is they're like, you're 13, right? Okay, well, here's 5 children who are younger than you. Like, bye.
Spanning the ages of 6 months to 12.
So they're just like putting a lot on these 13-year-old girls in whatever, 1996. But I had gone and done 4 hours at their house. The parents came home. And as Dad was picking me up to leave, they were like, oh, we completely forgot to tell you, we all have lice.
No!
So I came home and had to tell Mom that I had definitely gotten lice from this family. Mom was furious. I think she called them and yelled at them, and I was never allowed to babysit for them again.
It tracks.
So my babysitting career was pretty much over after that. I only babysat for very close friends and family after that point in time because of the Lice family. Not to be confused with the Weisses.
The Weiss family. The Weisses are great. They are not the Lices. The Weisses and Lices, two different groups of people. I remember two babysitting stories because I would also do babysitting, which, like, looking back in time, I can't imagine a family would be like, that's the kid. This guy, who's this guy right here? He looks really, is he the dependable neighborhood kid? Because I want him babysitting. I want him in charge.
Those Porters siblings really seem like they have it together, and they all get along so great. Definitely get him in here.
Yeah, I think the point for me was like, he's really good at playing with kids like he's a kid. It's because I still am. I still like, throw me in a room with like some kids. We're playing trucks. We're playing dominoes. We're doing puzzles, Legos. I'm enjoying myself.
And I get paid for this?
Yeah, we need this guy looking after these people too. 2 birds with 1 stone. And so I remember one time there was a family that would pay me to babysit their 2 kids. And one of their kids was like, I swear the kid was like 8. And I must have been like, I don't know, 15. And I was up playing like with the little brother and like building Legos or blocks or whatever. And then I hear the older one be like, Ryan. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, come downstairs. And I'm like, okay. And their stairs had like a little L, like a little like turn in it. There's like a little landing and a turn. And at the very bottom of the, like after the second turn, you're looking directly into the bathroom. And so like I walk down like the first 6 steps, I turn, I look down, and the 8-year-old is like, I don't know how to explain it. He's like, hands and legs are both touching the ground and his butt is in the air because he had just crapped and he needed someone to wipe his butt. And I'm like, bro, I do not do, nah, like I don't. And I'm like, bro, like who stands like that? Like, how is this? Who was like, hey, you know how we're going to do this as a family? You're going to put your hands on the ground, keep your feet on the ground, get that butt in there. I'm like, what? And so I remember like, no. And I ran up the stairs and the kid is still like this. I don't know if this is going to make it. Like, I don't know if this is, but I'm like,
if this is okay.
I'm like, bro, this is so weird. And so I called my buddy who I know had babysat for the same family. And I'm like, yo, this kid is at the bottom of the stairs. He needs me to wipe his butt. Yo, have you ever done this? And he's like, no. I'm like, what should I do? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, yo, could you come over? Could you come over and do it? I'll split it. I will split the babysitting money with you. Like, could you please come over?
What did you think that this friend could do to help? Like, either way, you're going to have to wash a kid's butt.
I'm like, bro, you can do it. It's only 3 minutes of work. I will give you half of my babysitting money. He's like, I'm not, riding my bike over there to wipe a kid's butt. And then like, nah, bro. I'm like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta call my mom. So I hang up, I call Mom. And I'm like, Mom, this kid wants me to wipe his butt. I don't know what to do. She's like, Ryan, you're being silly. Just go down. I did it for all of you guys. I'm like, you're my mom. I am not this kid's mom. I am not doing this. This is where I draw the line. And so like, I don't even want to see it. So I'm like yelling from the top of the stairs. I'm like, yo, bro, today's your lucky day, man. Today's the day you're going to do it by yourself. He's like, he's still like that. It's been 15 minutes. And he's like, Ryan, he's yelling. He's like, Ryan, my hands are prickly. I'm sure there's no feelings. He's like falling asleep. I'm like, yo, bro, today's your lucky day. Today's the day you do it by yourself. And he's like, I've never done it before. I'm like, here's how you do it. And so, anyways.
Here's how you do it. I'm somewhat of an expert myself.
And so his parents came home and I'm like, I couldn't do it.
He's still
he did it.
The stairs.
Yeah, he's still, I just closed the door. He's like, somebody help me. I can't feel my arms. No, I was just like, yo, you got to do it by yourself, bro. Today it's not me. So, but then there was another family that asked me to babysit. And again, this family in particular, like they had insider knowledge that I'm not the guy. And they're like, no, you're the guy. And so,
trust him.
Yeah. So I came over there one day after school and they had kids ranging from, I believe, your age to
41.
41. Yeah, I was babysitting a 41-year-old. All the way down to like, I don't know, 2. So, but no, really, it probably would have been like, at the time, I would have been like 14 or 15 and it would have been like 12 to 2. But I think like the 12-year-old, like she wasn't being babysat. There was a kid Jonathan's age, and then I think Dallin's age, and then a baby. And I like settled in. It's just like me and like the baby and I think the next kid were at home. And I was like, here, like play with some Legos or something. And I like laid down on the sofa and fast forward to, I don't know, an hour later, and there's someone in the house like shaking me awake. And I like wake up, I look up, and it's like a man I've never seen before. And he's like, wake up, are you the babysitter? And I'm like, yeah, who are you? Like I'm about to defend the house. Everything's already been stolen, everyone's already been killed. I'm like, yeah, who are you? He's like, I'm the neighbor across the street whose house the baby just walked into. And I was like, what? He's like, the baby that you're supposed to be babysitting and being paid to be responsible for just crossed the street and walked into our house. And I'm like, bro, sorry about that. I guess I fell asleep. He's like, I'm telling them, as soon as they come home, I'm telling them that you fell asleep while you were supposed to be watching the baby. And I was so scared because the dad
no.
Yeah, the dad of the kids, we nicknamed him Superman because of like just his superhuman strength. And I was just so scared. I avoided him. Like I took the money, first of all, dependable neighborhood kid, took the money, went home because by the time they got home, it was late. Neighbor, I guess, like didn't notice them pulling the driveway or whatever. And I know the neighbor talked to them like the next day and like they kept trying to get a hold of me. Superman in particular was trying to get a hold of me. And I just did everything to like snake out of it. And then finally one day I remember he had to drive me home from somewhere and we parked in our driveway. I'm like, well, see you. He's like, Ryan, hold on a second. And I'm like, he's like, the incident when you were babysitting? I was like, yes. Like, please don't kill me. He's like, water under a bridge. Don't ever let it happen again. And I was like, no,
I won't because I'm never babysitting again.
Yeah, I was like, never. Funny you should mention that. I'm actually retired. They hung up my jersey. I'm done. I'm out of the game. I'm
gonna be mowing lawns now, so we're gonna be pretty busy.
Here's a flyer if you need your lawn mowed.
Okay. So those are our C tier list jobs, unless you can think of anything else that were just like bottom of the barrel, $5 a pop jobs. So next we're going to move into B tier, which is my favorite tier because it's where we spent most of our teenage jobs, would be, I'm calling them grocery stores fast food. I don't think any of us worked fast food, correct?
No, none of us did.
But we all worked at grocery stores. And the funny thing is, most of us worked at different, competing grocery stores. Only a few of us, doubled up on the grocery stores. So Dallin worked at Sobeys. I believe he lied about his age to work there and was almost promptly fired when they found out that he was not old enough to work. I worked at Loblaws for 3 years. And then did you, Daniel, and Jonathan all work at No Frills?
We all worked at No Frills, but Dan worked at IGA before that. We got into fist fights over which grocery store was better. Literal and actual fist fights about who had lower prices. Like that's how
Well,
deep it ran. And then Dan ended up working at No Frills.
Loblaws is kind of a bougie
Yeah.
grocery store. I got the job through your best friend who he worked in the deli department, got me a job, worked for the scariest woman I have ever met to this day, the scariest woman I have ever met in my life. And it was the first time in my whole life. I started working when I was 15. The first time in my entire life that I had been actively bad at something. Like up until that point, I'd always just been
Sorry,
good at
as
stuff.
told by you.
As told
I just
by
like to
me,
say,
the person-
it was the
good at
first
stuff.
time. I'm sorry. You also tried being a radio news
and I was
host.
good at it. And I was good at it.
Oh, we will let the people be the judge of that when we get our hands on a cassette player.
I'm just you wait. As soon as I get my hands on a cassette
I'm going
player.
back to Tokyo tomorrow.
But I had always been, until that time, like the interactions that I had with adults were either through school or through church, and I was beloved in those circles because
Again, as told by you.
Yes, and my report cards that said that I am a joy to have in class. So when I show up to Loblaws and I'm like, all right, put me in. I'm good at everything and adults love me. Guess what? Gina hated my guts from the jump. And she should have, because I was very, very bad at being a grocery store employee.
Bad at what? Slicing meat? I don't understand what you could have been bad at.
Yes, I was very bad at slicing meat. I lost all the tips with my gloves, which would then be put in the packages of meat and just like handed to people. So then they took me off slicing and they made me scale fish for a long time, but I didn't know how to do it. So I just like kind of rake the scaler across the fish and throw scales everywhere. And then I got to a point near the end where I knew that I wasn't going to be making this my long-term career, where I would always sign up to close the deli, because the deli closed a little bit before.
Yeah, it'd be like 30 minutes or an hour before.
And I would just tell people it was closed, like even before that, and sit behind the counter and just eat like chicken wings that were left over. And so when it was time, it was really time. I felt bad for Matt because he really stuck his neck out there to get me a job. And I was the worst at working at a grocery store.
I, on the other hand, was the best at working at a grocery store.
Says you!
Yeah, and everybody else, I'm sure they still have pictures of me on the walls at No Frills in Ajax. People are like, who's this guy? And people are like, you don't know the dependable neighborhood kid turned grocery store clerk?
Legend of Ryan.
So No Frills was the like lower tier grocery store in Ajax at the time. It was like there was a brand new grocery store.
Lowest tier.
It was a brand new grocery store, and they were hiring their like opening staff. And I remember one day Mom was like, "Hey, like I'm gonna take you out for lunch. It's like a little bit of a pre-birthday lunch," because I hadn't yet turned 16 or 15 or whatever the age was. I think it might have been 15. At that time to work at the grocery store.
Yes, that's because I started at
15 or 16. So anyways.
No, I started.
Rolled up, going out for what I thought was lunch. Mom pulled up in front of a grocery store, not yet fully completed its renovations into a No Frills, with a lineup of people, an assortment of characters with their resumes in hand. And she's like, "Here, I printed out your resume. Go and stand in that line. And when they ask your age, just lie and tell them that you're old enough to work there." I'm like, where's my lunch? And she's like, "After that." So I literally went in line, lied about my age, went through a couple of interviews, got the job because I think I had turned the age, like 15 or whatever, during the training. And then like all of a sudden I was the age that it would require to be in there. Anyways, I worked at No Frills from 15 till I left for Japan, which was 21. Wow. Yeah, so I worked there for like 6 years. A slew of interesting people there. I will tell a couple of stories from No Frills that kind of like stand out in my mind. And I have a lot of stories, like so many stories from No Frills. I'll tell maybe 3 stories, maybe 4. So one, there was this point where the owner of No Frills, we didn't really like him. It was the original owner, and we didn't really like him. He didn't like us. He had put up hidden cameras around different parts of like the break rooms and stuff, disguised as like motion detectors. And he would like film us taking longer breaks than expected or whatever. And then he would take the recordings on video cassettes, like write the names of everybody and how long they took on their breaks. And he would keep all of these. How do I know? Because I went through his desk when he wasn't there. I'd be like, what the heck? Look at all these videos. Like this guy.
Like he thinks I can't be trusted.
But then in my brain also, I'm like, but this guy's put up hidden cameras. It's illegal. We're part of a union. We need to know about this stuff. What's he going to do? Call us out on it? He can't. Where did you see this? Oh, on a video camera that you illegally installed in our break room. So it was like a game of cat and mouse, a game of chicken, if you would. And so,
okay.
Yeah. So like we started having feasts, which we would call feasts, where every department would bring one or two things from their department into the break room and all contribute to a massive feast. And I remember this one day, this one guy that we worked with, Pat, he came up and he was very excited about the feast. And he started like, someone had brought up a box of rubber gloves to like prepare the food. Like, I guess they had seen it at a restaurant or whatever. And so we put on the rubber gloves and he's like, I'm a doctor. And we're like, yeah, you are. He's like, I'm a doctor. And we're like, yeah, you're a doctor. He's like, I'm higher than a doctor. And we're like, yeah. He goes, I'm a doctor of philosophy. I'm like, nope, but actually still a doctor. But he started yelling this out. I'm a doctor of philosophy. I'm a doctor of philosophy. And he took out his box cutter that you use to open up the cases. And he like grabbed like a chicken leg or something. I don't know and he went to like cut it, but he missed it completely and sliced his entire hand open and just gushing blood inside of the glove that he just put on. And we had to rush him to the hospital. He got like 22 stitches in his hand from being a doctor of philosophy. And it's something we talked about for a while. So he heals up and he comes back, and we had started to tone down the feasts a little bit. But what we had not toned down was eating other people's lunches in the work break room refrigerator. And so we go in this one day, and it's me and Pat, just the two of us. And he opens up the door. He's like, yo, we got cake. And I'm like, do we though? He's like, we got cake. Look at this. And he opened up this container with cake in it. He grabbed a handful of cake and just jammed it into his mouth. And he's like, oh, this cake is disgusting. And he then grabbed an unopened bottle of Coke that was right beside the cake in the refrigerator and filled up the Tupperware or the container with like Coke on top of the cake, and then put it back on and put the lid back on and put it in the fridge. And we're like, ha, 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 ha. Like, this is ha, ha. We're 16.
Teenagers.
This is funny. And fast forward like 18 minutes when we are downstairs after our break, like restocking the shelves or whatever. And I'm laughing because I feel bad. I laugh when I feel bad and awkward about certain things. There was like a late 70s, early 80s woman that worked at No Frills, and she was crying. And the other cashiers were like consoling her, like, oh, like it's gonna be okay, whatever. And I saw them like giving her like a birthday cake that they had gotten from the bakery. And I'm like, oh, it's so sweet. Like, she's so happy that they gave her a birthday cake. Turns out that cake that Pat had eaten, then destroyed with the Coke, was Janice's birthday cake. It was like her 80th birthday cake. She like brought from home. She didn't have enough time to celebrate with her family because she was rushing for her shift at the grocery store, and we destroyed it. And so felt horrible about that. Yeah, really felt bad about that one. Anyways,
sorry, Janice. Sorry if you're
Janice.
Still out there, Janice.
I know for a fact that she is not, because that may or may not have been her last birthday cake. Two more quick stories. Two more quick stories. We had the original owner left, and a new owner came in, and he was fantastic. We all loved him. He was great. very solid guy, like just really, really great boss. Like actually like showed everybody like what it's like to be a good boss and taught people how to be better managers and like really ran a great store, was involved in the community. So whatever. But we had this like kind of rivalry with like the cashiers. It was like kind of like pranking each other here and there, right? Like silly pranks, right? Like cellophane over the door, you walk into it or whatever, or putting stuff upside down, or locking doors, or whatever it was, like back and forth pranking with the cashiers. The cashiers were like 90 something percent women and girls, and the grocery staff was like 99% boys. And so we had decided one day that we were going to top out the pranks by putting a full frozen salmon, huge one, in the above the roofing panels or the ceiling panels of the girls' change room. And so,
oh my gosh,
which also not too smart because it was connected to the men's change. There's like one wall. There's just a wall dividing.
Well, there's several reasons why it's not smart, but so that was one of them.
Yeah. So we put it up there and then we're like, tomorrow it's going to be so great. It's going to be so stinky, but it wasn't. And the day after also was like not too stinky. And then the day after that also not too stinky. Fast forward like a month later in like the summer heat of like a July or whatever. And the change room was on the second floor and there was no air conditioning in there or whatever. And like the entire upstairs and like half of the back room down the stairs smelled horrible, like absolutely horrible. And then we all started clocking in when everyone's trying to figure out what the smell was. We're like, yo, it's the salmon. But like no one could go upstairs for like a month. And then one day the head cashier was like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. We need like, we can't continue to live like this. We need to be able to use the washrooms and change in the change rooms. And she went up there like mask, gloves, the whole nine to try to figure it out. And she found the salmon in the ceiling panel, like fully decomposed. As
like
you would
the
imagine,
liquid that used to be a salmon.
And the bugs that were on it and whatever. And she came down and she was fuming. Pun slightly.
She was upset?
Pun slightly intended. And she was like, somebody. And then there was a meeting and we were told that the pranking had to end and all this kind of thing. But it was absolutely horrible, smelled disgusting, and we ruined our working environment. And now the final story I'll tell about the grocery store. So as I was getting to the end of my tenure at No Frills, I had actually left for a little bit because I went and I was living with a friend in Waterloo trying to figure out what to do with my life. I had dropped out of college, quit No Frills, but I needed like to get my life together, and I decided I was going to go to Japan. And so I went back to No Frills and I was working. I was no longer a manager, just kind of stocking the shelves, taking shifts where I could take shifts. And being the dependable neighborhood kid that I was, I had no money saved for Japan. And one of the stipulations or criteria for getting what was called a working holiday visa, at the time they still have it, but one of the piece of criteria or prerequisites or whatever, you had to show them that you have $2,000 saved up so that you could, support yourself for your first couple of months in Japan while you're trying to find work on your working holiday visa. Well, I had a job lined up. English teacher, no problem. I know I'm going to make money when I'm there. The problem was I had $0 saved up. And so like on my last shift, days before I'm supposed to be leaving for Japan, I had to go pick up my working holiday visa and at the same time show them that I have $2,000 to in traveler's checks to pay for my first 2 months in Japan. And I didn't have it. So I asked the owner of the grocery store, I'm like, yo, can I take $2,000 out of the safe and exchange it to traveler's checks, go to the Japanese consulate, show them this, and then come back and I'll just give you the traveler's checks back. You guys will be good. You've got your $2,000. I've got my working holiday visa. And he said, yeah, like no questions asked. I was like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, bet. Go and get the $2,000. Go to the bank, change it to traveler's checks, go to the consulate. And this is, again, my last shift. Like I'm done. I'm done at No Frills because I'm leaving to Japan like 2 days later. And go to the consulate. I get my visa. I get back in. I had driven downtown Toronto in our old green van. Mm-hmm. Get in the parking lot. I turn the key to start the van and it doesn't turn on. And I'm like, whoa, this is weird. It's an older van. It's not starting. I had like a quarter, and like a quarter, a coin, a quarter, like in my pocket.
I was like, a quarter tank of gas? What do you say?
No, a quarter, like a coin, a single coin, and $2,000 worth of
that
traveler's checks.
That you got out of a shopping cart at
Yes, at No Frills. And so I go and call Dad, and I'm like, Dad, the car's not starting. And he's like, yeah, I think it's done. He's like, I think it's done. I'm going to have to figure out a tow truck situation and borrow Annie Gale's van and come down and figure this out. So like I waited in this parking lot. The sun went down. No one can figure out where I am. The owner of No Frills is starting to sweat a little bit. The head cashier is really sweating because $2,000 is gone. And Dad comes out there. The truck gets towed, or the van gets towed, and Dad brings me to No Frills literally minutes before they were like locking the door. It was like an hour after it had closed. They'd finished getting prepared and winding down the day's operations. And like, I'm pulling up in the parking lot as they're getting ready to lock the doors. I'm like, hey, here's the traveler's checks. And they're like, we thought you took it. They're like, we thought you took it.
Like,
we thought you took it.
Never show your face here again.
Never again. And shook hands with the owner, and that was it. I went to Japan with $0 in my pocket, mishmash of clothes that were jammed into a suitcase the morning of. And thanks to that guy, the owner of No Frills, I was able to come to Japan for my first time.
Do you find because I worked at a grocery store, I tell people that I worked at a grocery store when I'm at grocery stores?
Sure.
Like,
I get this.
Solidarity. And also like, I wait for them to notice, like at the deli, wait for them to notice, like, I'm really good at ordering my deli meats. Like, I got you. I'll tell you the thinness. I'll tell you exactly how much I want. Don't you, if it's a little bit over a pound, don't even worry about it. And then I go to check out and I line my food up exactly because I know which foods can't touch in a bag. And I'm like waiting for a person to be like, wow, like you really nailed this. And I'm like, I used to work at a grocery store, so I get it.
And you want the deli person to tell the grocery person to tell the cashier, and they're like, yeah, we noticed too. Like, how good
have you
was she?
seen her? And then like the next time you come in, like, oh my gosh, we remember you. You're the one who organized your groceries perfectly on the conveyor belt. I'm like, it was me.
Bagged them so perfectly afterwards. To this day, I will be like, I got this. The bagging, I'm like, yo, sis, I got this.
Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
But we had every neighborhood kid worked at the No Frills that I worked at. Dan worked there. My buddies growing up, we all worked there. A lot of my
friends.
And we ended up that No Frills ended up moving to like a different neighborhood. We had a mishmash of customers that came in there. People would steal stuff all the time. Me and the owner would chase them down the strip mall and demand them to return the baby formula that they have just stolen. Those. I truly believe that every kid, I don't know what it's like to work in a grocery store in the year 2025. I can't imagine it's changed that much, but I believe that like those types of jobs, like super shape how you operate.
Customers facing retail for sure.
Yeah, like everybody needs it. Everybody needs just a little bit of it. Like your communication skills get upped. I don't want to turn this into something it's not, but like compassion. Right? Like you just see every type of person, every walk of life, every situation. The grocery store that we worked in was No Frills. It was the lowest price one. I remember one time seeing this woman get stopped. She claimed that she was pregnant and they're like, we saw you stuff the frozen turkey in your shirt. And she's like, are you going to really do this to a pregnant woman? And the manager just grabbed the bottom of her shirt a little bit and a 25-pound frozen turkey dropped out of her shirt. Like, I used to see people steal single bags of milk and wouldn't report them because you're like, yo, if you're stealing a single bag of milk.
Take it.
Yeah, you got it. But yeah, I totally believe that everyone needs to work those jobs.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, there's nothing like working a grocery store at Christmas time. There's just something about it, like something that just really got me excited when I go in there and be like, what party trays am I going to bleed all over today? Let's get it shopping.
How many people am I going to make sick over the holidays?
Okay, so that's definitely B tier. Like grocery stores, fast food. I would even include like dishwasher because you're not like out there actually serving. But a lot of our friends were like dishwashers at a Swiss
Wait,
Chalet.
didn't Dan work at Swiss Chalet?
He did, but he wasn't a server. He worked in the kitchen, which I don't want Daniel ever working in a kitchen near me.
I think he was a dishwasher. Anyways, I think he was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a dishwasher. Okay, A tier, and the word is disagree. I'm like, you can not agree. You can
You
disagree
cannot
with me if you
agree
want.
with me.
Okay, these are what A tier. So again, we still have S tier after this. A tier for me would be mall retail, working at the mall, working at the video store,
Wow.
or working at a pet store. You had a friend that worked at a pet store, and I was very jealous of him.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. So him, and then there was a girl that I knew who worked at a pet store as well, who also, this is one, okay, another story. Sorry. I know I'm hijacking this one. There's so much in my brain from this era. So there was this girl that I grew up with, and she was like a close friend growing up. Like, I'm sure even if I bumped into her today in Ajax, like we would probably have like an hour or two conversation just because she was a great friend growing up. Her mom owned a pet store, worked in a pet store, and her house was always filled with pets. So like on a snow day, on like a weird canceled school day, you would go to her house and you would hang out. There'd be pets, like a iguana just walking around the house, a downstairs room filled with birds and rodents of various types. She had a couple dogs and cats. And anyways, so great friend. And she worked at a pet store, completely jealous of that. And she worked, and then this guy worked at a pet store. I think they actually worked at the same pet store. But the story that I want to tell is when she ended up, the same girl that I grew up with and like was a friend, she ended up working at a bank that was in the same strip mall as No Frills. So fast forward years, she works there and I worked there, and every now and then we would bump into each other, or every now and then we'd be like, hey, let's go grab lunch or whatever. Right. So like, again, good friend. And, she worked at the same plaza, but she had a long-term boyfriend and she was engaged. I wasn't really like, it was never like that. It was just, again, we grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same school, have a lot of stories and mutual friends. And, so I was probably in my early 20s. This is probably after Japan, I believe. And I hadn't seen her for years, right? Like hadn't seen her for years. She's not on my radar at all, obviously, because I haven't seen her for years.
You're in Japan.
Yeah. And I go to this bar one night. We're all kind of like hanging there, partying or whatever. And I see her and I'm like, oh, hey, like, how's it going? And she comes up and we're like catching up and she's like, so I got to tell you something. And I'm like, yes, I think she's married at this point or engaged. No, she was engaged, I believe, at this point. And I'm like, okay. She's like, your dad came into the bank recently. And I'm like, okay. Weird because he doesn't bank there. But at that point, I think he was the shuttle driver for a Toyota car dealership or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I think he was dropping off like a customer or something. And he came in and he talked to me. I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Like, dad talks to everybody.
Sounds normal. Yeah.
And she starts laughing and she's like you could tell she's like, he actually said something a little bit weird. And I'm like, no. He's like, he said that him and your mom would be more than happy to welcome me into the family if we were to get married. And I was like, I'm sorry. What did he say? I haven't talked to her in years. I have gone and lived in another country, come back. I'm on a totally different track. She's engaged and we are both
He's still
just done.
He's really happy about it.
The amount of sweat that started pouring from her, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. She's like, I was dying. I'm like, I'm now dying. Thank you. I am now dying.
Let's die together.
Yeah. I was like, and then I went home and I was like, Dad, did you tell so-and-so that you and mom would be more than happy to welcome her into the family if we got married? And he's like, whoa, she's always been a good girl. And mom was like, Rick, like, what? And I'm like, why? Dad.
Hey, wait, before you go on, you just did perfect impressions of both of our parents in 10 seconds.
Got some experience. But I was just so just embarrassed. I was like, I am so sorry. Like, how do we, and then like her fiance came over, was like, hey, let's go over here. Like grabbed her and was like, hey, let's go over here. I'm like, rightfully so, bro. I would do the same thing. This is totally weird. I will never see you guys again. All right. If I see you in public, I won't even come near you guys. Like, this is extremely weird. And I believe that might be the last time I ever saw her.
She's out there somewhere.
But just when she was like, so your dad, just like, so your dad came into the bank. I was like, please don't be weird. Please don't be weird. It was literally the weirdest thing it could have been.
Okay. Just know, when your kids get to a certain age, you do start looking at other people, like other people their age, is like, would I be okay if that person entered my
hypothetically family? Would you go into their place of work?
I would never say anything to them.
Where, by the way, he didn't do any banking. He literally just went in to say that. He went in there and was like, so he waited in line with other customers to talk to her. And then be like, that's it. Have a good day. I'm out.
Goodbye. See ya.
And I remember being like, Dad, when was the last time you even talked to her? It had been years. It had been years since he had seen her.
But he remembered her, which Dad remembers everybody. And she remembered him because he probably went on a few of your field trips together.
Yeah. And I'm sure like he put it on his checklist, like in like 1996, where he's like, hey, that'd be really cool if they like, and then he just wanted to finish off that list that he started a decade earlier. And walked into the bank, was like,
business.
I'll be really happy. You guys would make, and you know what? Me and Bonnie would be more than happy to welcome you into the family. She's like, thanks, Mr. Porter.
You get a steady job, family business. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I was so embarrassed. Just so embarrassed. I was like, I am so sorry.
Can you think of any other jobs that would enter in the A tier?
Yes, absolutely. Electronic stores where you got a discount. If you were at Best Buy and you had like the tax off discount, or Future Shop, and you had the tax off Future discount or whatever, like absolutely top tier. The other one that I would actually say ended up being like a pretty useful one, and would be like probably, and maybe you already mentioned this, but if you worked at a movie theater, because you would get like,
whoa, stop. That's S tier.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Don't talk about movie theater. S tier. To this day, I would still like to work in a movie theater. Every time I go to a movie, I'm like, I'd really like to do this job. Are you guys hiring? It's all 16-year-olds, and I'm like, hey guys, adults really like me, so I feel like I'd be really good at this job. But and my best friend growing up worked at Garage Clothing and got a discount at Garage, one of our finest clothing establishments that only sold spaghetti strap tank tops. And having her discount was the best. But that was all I had for A tier. For S tier, 100%. I have 2 in S tier, which was movie theater employee or lifeguard.
Well, I was going to say amusement park lifeguard. Like if you worked at Canada's Wonderland for the summer.
Oh, don't even get me started. What a dream.
Or Wild Water Kingdom.
Wild Water.
We're not talking about parking lot fares here. We are talking about
amusement
parks. Real deal.
Like people's lives are in your hands.
Yeah. And you're at the prime
16.
age. Yeah. You're at the prime age where like meeting people from other schools, like automatically.
Oh, yeah. And
levels
maybe
you up
that's
in
why
life.
I think they're S. Yeah, I think that's probably why I actually think it's S tier, is that like you got to meet people of your own age from different schools that you didn't get to come in contact with, even at the grocery store, because the grocery store was local.
Yeah. So that type of job, or somewhere where you got like some type of discount on like real stuff.
In my final year of high school, I got a job. Me and one of my friends got a job at a home improvement company. It wasn't like a Home Depot. It was like that did renovations on people's homes, and all they needed was from 4 to 8 p.m. every night someone to man the phones in case someone called, just to like say, can you call back tomorrow? Basically, that was my job. And
you're really good at just telling people that you're not working.
It's like, I'm sorry,
the deli's closed. Call back tomorrow.
And because it was too much of a job for either one of us to do, we split the job. Like we went together and we were like, are you okay if we both do this job and we'll just alternate days? And that's what we did through our last year of high school. So from 4 to 8, I was on my iMac computer. If you remember those, the bulbous colored computers.
Yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
It was so cool. I had an orange iMac, and I spent the entire time just chatting on Instant Messenger to everyone I knew. I didn't do any work. But the people who owned that company were twin brothers. And one of them actually was a former hockey player. He played for the New York Islanders. And his brother, I believe, played some hockey, but never made it into the NHL. But they were identical twins. And I obviously had a hard time telling them apart.
As did everybody else.
The only difference that I could remember was sometimes the one who had been the NHL player wouldn't wear his teeth in. He had false teeth because he'd been knocked in the face with a puck so many times. And so when he was around the office, he just wouldn't wear his teeth in. He would only wear it when he went to go meet with clients, as you do. I'm trying to relax, take my teeth out, put my feet up. And so, but his brother's name was Keith. And so I made up a little rhyme that was Keith has teeth, so I could remember which one was which, and they would come in every day. And so one day Keith has teeth comes in, and it was after hours, and usually there was no one around the office. It was like I was in a locked office by myself for 4 hours a night. And he popped by, and it was unusual. And I was like, oh, Keith has teeth. Hello, nice to see you. And he was like, hey, real quick. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you know that whatever music you play on the CD player is the hold music that clients hear. And I was like, Keith has teeth. I am just hearing this information now. I did not know that.
This is not part of the training package.
Every night been blasting my music for 4 hours a night, doing who knows what and putting people on hold because I wasn't working.
Which is just salt and pepper, like, push it.
Hold it. Ryan, literally every single night. He's like, every time I call in here and get on hold, it is the most inappropriate music and you need to stop. And I was like, all right, Keith has teeth. You got a point.
You got a point.
But that
also,
was
I quit.
I never made it to lifeguard or movie theater, but I do feel like an office worker was like my S tier job. Did you ever get to an S tier? Do you feel like?
No, no, but I would probably put one like on a fringe S tier. The guy that I talked about before, Superman, where I fell asleep on his sofa and his child escaped and walked across the street. A 2-year-old child walked across the street. I ended up working with him doing like some welding. One summer, I really for a second thought I was going to be a welder because I welded a really good bead one time in my welding class once. And the teacher's like, that is the cleanest bead that I've ever seen. I'm like, bro, because I'm a welder. I don't know if you knew.
This is my calling in life. What can I say?
That's what I do. And so I worked with this guy, and literally I would just go in prep workstations or things for him so he could speed up the work and go along. And I remember the day I realized it wasn't for me is there was this one job I had where I'd go and hammer in shims. So I'd basically take a square metal shim to prop something up, and I would just kind of hammer them in and go from station to station. We were putting in loading docks for trucks, and I slid the hammer down and I cut my hand just on the inside of my index finger. I was like, I really need a Band-Aid. And so I stopped all my work. And this guy, Superman, was known for just working quick, efficiently, no talking. This guy was, just great at his work. He had this great successful business, and he took on this 15-year-old kid to go and help him. And I remember stopping my work, and I'm at the far end, walking all the way back, blowing on my cut. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how this is really painful. And I go to him and I'm like, hey, Superman. I obviously didn't call him Superman. I'm like, but hey, Superman, do you have any Band-Aids? And he's lifts up his welding mask and he's like, for what? And I'm like, I got a little cut here. And he's squinting and he's trying to see the cut. And he goes, if I don't need a Band-Aid, you don't. And I'm like, and he held up his hand, and I guess some point in the day he had scraped off all of the skin off his knuckles and just hadn't stopped to address the whatever was going on with now looked lean cut ground beef on his whatever.
Please
don't. His hand was shredded, and he's like, if I don't need a Band-Aid, you don't. I'm like, I'll just go back there and continue hammering and shims. I'm like, and also,
Pass out.
and also, pun intended, I don't think I'm cut out for this. So that was one of my last days.
That's
yeah,
the
I
thing,
really
you weren't
wasn't.
cut out for it.
I really wasn't. No, I'm like,
Well,
do you guys have any
like
beauty
manual
vinegar
labor?
here?
I'm like, I'm not really into manual labor or labor. Like
In general.
I don't like to work, guys.
Yeah, but I
if
think
there's a way for me to fake working and still get paid, I will figure it out.
But those guys that I say guys because in my circle it was all guys that were working as like apprentice electricians or like with their dad's like roofing business or like those really like trades oriented jobs. Like they would make so much money over the course of a summer for like a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old. And I'm sure some of them now are still doing that work and just balling out of control in terms of the money they're making because they got started. They're making a lot of money because they got started when they were 17 years old and probably now own the business.
They're a different breed.
Yeah. So
they're
like,
a different breed though.
I wouldn't put them S tier. They're almost like their own category of their own tier.
Okay. Tier.
Yeah, tier. I'm really articulate.
Tier.
Something I'm known for. This has been a super long episode, by the way.
I know. I just looked at the time. Holy crap. Okay, last question. Do you feel like any of the jobs that you did specifically have like in any way relate to the job that you do now?
No, not like none whatsoever. Like I work kind of like in like a world of like technology and talent acquisition, and I don't think it necessarily relates. But, you know, you and I talked about this probably like 20 minutes ago, is there are lessons that you learn in those crappy teenage jobs that are like forever. And the other thing, they're experiences that you have with that group of people that like, if I met a Carrie or a Perry, two real people, I'm not just naming rhyme words, or a Matt or a Janice, rest in peace, or a Wendy or a Frank, right? Like if I met them on the street, like right away, we'd be able to have conversations about like that time period, because there's those weird experiences that I'm sure everybody experiences in their first or second, you know, part-time entry-level job or whatever, that are kind of unique to that time of a person's life.
And yeah, so one thing I tell my kids all the time is like, I think it's important for them to have adults in their life that they trust, they're good adults, that they can bounce ideas off of or whatever, that aren't me, right? Because like, they're not always going to tell me everything, but it's like, you should have other adults in your life that you trust. And I feel like teenagers working, first of all, how annoying for the adults to have to deal with a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds ruining their birthday cake. But like the adults that I worked with were like the people that formed like my community of trusted adults during those ages. Like I can't talk to mom and dad about this, but sure, I can talk to Jerry, the lady that works with me, who's a lifer at Loblaws Deli. And you know what? She doesn't have any skin in the game. She can give me advice. She can talk me through. So I really value that part of it. The fact that I had adults in my life through my B tier grocery store job, and Keith, who has teeth, that like, that's what I took with me on my way. It was not any job experience whatsoever gone the moment I left Ajax. It never came, it never carried over into my adult life, but like, I'm still happy that it happened. I think you're exactly right. Every kid should have to work some type of retail forward-facing, customer-facing job.
Well, when I was traveling and speaking, and I'm sure I'm on the record somewhere on YouTube saying something very similar, but like I believe that as a young person, like your job is to become as employable as possible. And that means going out and like trying new things, trying jobs, getting part-time jobs, like meeting, expanding your network, expanding your understanding of the world, whatever, so that like you can level up and go into another job, or level up and go into another job, or apply for a job that, you know, you're now qualified for because you've done something in the past. And then the last thing I'll say about this is like, when you grow up, in a small town, in a family, around other families that probably look and sound like you, and you go to a school that has you go to have the same teachers, the same lessons, whatever. You start to think a certain way, but the second you go into that job and you're now meeting a kid from a different school or someone who's 10 years older than you, someone who may or may not have been in and out of prison, like whatever that group of people looks like, your understanding of the world and like the things that are available to you as a lens to look through the world instantly expands. Right? Like I'm not trying, I always say something like this near the end of the episode, like I'm not trying to make it something bigger than it is or deeper than it is, but like you meet that one person who has a completely different life than you, or went to a different school, or believes something completely opposite from the way that you were brought up to believe or whatever. And I think that those things are actually kind of cool and powerful and like help shape you as like a teenager who's out there trying to have your first like experiences, like wading your way into life. Those things
your
help
first
form
like truly independent experience. It's the first experience that you have where your mom, she might have dropped you off at the
and
interview,
encourage you to lie, to break the law.
But she can't, when you got in trouble at work, there was nothing she could do about it. You know, there was no part, once you entered those doors, there was like the first like absolutely independent of your parents' experience that you can have as a teenager.
Yeah. So like I probably still look back at some of those times at No Frills, and those stories will still sometimes come into the conversations with me and my buddies who work there, who I'm still close with, like from time to time. And there's quite a bit of nostalgia connected to it. So great little journey through the aisles of nostalgia of our teenage years.
Nostalgia, aisle 3.
Do not.
So I've got a very quick and spontaneous text of the week. We were all just talking on the sibling thread, and you have been trying to get your permanent residence, correct?
Yes.
And for part of that, why did you need our addresses? To just prove that you have family members?
Yeah, I don't know why, but they gave me this list and they said, please list all of your family members and where they live and their phone numbers. So you might get a call one day from Japanese immigration being like, is Ryan your brother? And you say, yes, I hope we have a podcast. You don't listen to the pod?
I've never heard of Ryan in my life. There hasn't been a Ryan around here for 30 years. Okay. Well, you said, well, we're all here. Can I request again that you post your current address here? I need them for my PR application. Please and thank you. And then I shared mine almost immediately. Looked like it was literally 1 minute.
Within minutes.
And then like half an hour, within a minute. And then half an hour later, you said, Jonathan Porter and Dallin Porter, I need yours for sure. And I said, okay, well, that hurts my feelings. Because I feel like I should have gotten a little bit of praise for being so quick. And also, you made it sound like my inferior American address was not what you really wanted.
You know, I think I know yours. Like, I don't know the zip code, but I'm pretty sure that I knew yours going in. Where, first of all, Jonathan has moved very recently. So no idea his address. And Dallin, same. Like, I think he's probably moved apartments a couple times in Vancouver, and I don't know.
It's a fun little treat that we all live in such different countries that there's also no, like, the way, like, we all have different ways of that we have to write zip codes and addresses and everything. And Christmas is a mess around here. Sending out Christmas cards is the worst.
Yeah, and just look at, like, I feel like they're going to look at I feel like you guys are going to get me rejected on my PR application. They're going to be like, why would this guy pull all these random addresses? Like, sure, someone in London. Bud. Sure, someone in Vancouver. Yeah, of course, buddy. All right, reject this liar.
Utah? Nobody lives in Utah.
I've never heard of this.
So. All right.
Well, for those of you... No, there's no one made it this far. I'm not even doing it.
There's no way.
It's us.
No way.
This is just us. I'm on. Ryan, you're in the car. Good job. You're listening to yourself. You did a good job on this one.
I'm running down a canyon and breaking my ankle all the way down. So keep going, Jacqueline. You're doing great.
All right. Well, this is a lot of fun. and we'll run it back in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye.